Hey, you guys. I'm going to do a lot more of these. I know you follow me on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. This is something special to me. This is one of my friends. First off, Carolyn. And she's, how would I say this? Her daughters, I've helped buy and sell multiple homes. Family members that I've been referred to, and friends. I've been fortunate and very lucky to be able to sell her home and her husband's home. You want to kind of tell us a story of how we got into this conversation about selling a home?
Well, yes, my husband passed away June of last year, and after being there for 40 years, I simply could not remain there. So I contacted Jason to sell my home so that I could get a fresh start some other place. And this is what I felt at the time the Lord was leading me to do as far as purchase another home. And down the road, you'll find out why that changed.
So she talked about the Lord. Now, not just her, but her entire linear of family members. I've sold homes with them, and I sometimes don't understand how I get to certain transactions on how this happens. And her entire family, just not her, she's a woman of faith. And I'll let her go a little bit more into it. Do you want to talk about when we first started talking about the house and your husband towards the end about the tree? Let's talk about the tree.
Yeah. Well, I lived in Bay Hill, North Bay, and we've lived there for 40 years. And about on June 4th of last year, 2025, while my husband was in the hospital, this massive oak tree, which was like that when we moved there, 'cause we're the first owners of the house. When we moved there, the tree was like that. But it grew to be a massive monstrosity of a tree. So on June 4th of last year, with the sun bright, no wind, no rain, nothing but sunshine, this massive tree split in half. One half stood standing, the other half fell on my house. It was the whole front half of my house that was destroyed by that massive tree. But I later realized that it was an act of God. Now, you say, well, how is that an act of God? Well, it's an act of God because on June 28th of that same month, he came and got my husband. The Lord came and took my husband back to heaven with him. So when I go back to the tree on June 4th, the one that was still standing was me. After 62 years of marriage, I'm still standing.
62 years. She got married when she was 10.
I was 17.
So you guys can do the math on that. You guys do the math on that. So just to go ahead and disclose you, she's not 60, 65, which you're all thinking she is. Like I said, she gets mad when I say it's black don't crack and it's the Lord thing. She's blessed. But anyways, I'm so sorry. That's going off this topic.
Anyway.
See, I'm crazy.
Oh, gosh, where was I? Anyway, so after 62 years of marriage, my husband in the hospital, that one half still stood. And just think about it. A massive oak tree splits and it doesn't all fall over. It just, the one half stands as if nothing happened to it. And then the other half falls on my house. And so I was in the bed, 6 o'clock.
While she was sleeping, were you sleeping?
I was sleeping.
So
It woke me up.
She was in the house. Now, I do got to interject on this. You guys got to imagine something. Did he plant it or was it already there?
It was there. When we moved there, the house was a year standing. Nobody had bought it. So we bought it brand new. And the oak tree was like that.
Okay, so for some reason, I was a little, she doesn't know about this mistake that I said. One of the open houses is so dumb of me of doing it, and she might laugh at me. I had told this realtor and showing clients, I'm like, yeah, her husband planted this tree. And then the realtor goes, this is the dumbness of me. This oak tree was here before the entire subdivision because the trunk was massive. I'm not exaggerating. Like, it's bigger than this, probably 3 times this size. And so it was 3 times this table. So how the heck could her husband have planted this when the tree was older than him?
Actually, the tree was like that when we moved.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a stick.
So it was small.
It was small.
Okay, so maybe it was a couple years older, but it's a huge
It was
trunk.
a stick. It was because the house was only a year old when we bought it.
Got it.
And so it was like that. And so, but it's very prophetic here because on June 28th, like I said, the Lord came and got my husband. So the tree was symbolic. My husband fell. That's the part of the tree that fell on the house. That was my husband falling. Okay, the Lord coming and getting him. Our marriage ended. Like the tree split. So to me, as a person of the Lord and a woman of faith, I saw that symbolically.
Okay.
That's what happened with that. And so my husband was kind of in and out at the hospital, so I went to the hospital and I said, hey, I see the tree fell on the house. Oh, tree. He said, oh, really? And then that was it. He never mentioned it again because he was on his way out as far as his thinking capacity was concerned.
And at this time, was he scared about the house, sad about the house? Was
No.
he scared of what he was going through?
No, he was. He's a man of faith too. We're both elders in our church and have been for a number of years. So no, we're people of faith, and we knew that we could pray to the Lord. We could ask the Lord to, and my husband had every illness in the book my husband had. I mean, from cancer, open heart surgery, to Guillain-Barré, to everything that he had, but his faith remained strong throughout it. And so this is what sustained us. So we know eventually, because of the, I'm going to get biblical a little bit, but
no,
because
be real, be honest, tell us your story.
Okay, because of the curse of Adam, because when Adam fell, death was the result of the fall of Adam in Genesis chapter 1. And so we know we're all going to die. Death passed upon all men, okay? All men will die unless it's in the rapture when the Lord comes and takes us back home and we don't have to die.
Okay.
But the point is, this death is a part of living. We will die unless the Lord comes in the rapture. All men will die. And so we know that I don't care how spiritual you are, I don't care how strong your faith is, at some point, you're going to die. So my husband told me several years ago that he had asked the Lord to take him first. He said he does not want me to leave him.
Wow.
Here. God answered that. He came again. He was 82 years old. So he had still lived a very long life.
So he had said that way early on in your marriage that he didn't want you to go before him.
That is correct.
And if he would at least honor that or answer his prayers.
Yeah.
Wow. So he already had that. So their faith is really, really strong, not just theirs. I've witnessed it with their kids in the homes that I've sold that I don't have explanations for. And I'm getting to the story of why we had to let you know all the way from the beginning. Because in real estate, our job is to advise, to give direction on what the value is of their home if we're selling it, to give the best approach on what we should price it at. And then we also, ultimately, for every home seller, they want to get the maximum dollar amount they can because, again, this is not just money for her to go ahead and put away or invest or do whatever. This is also her retirement, correct? So every dollar, part of it, yeah, just a portion of it. But so like anything, this is very important. So navigating through this, we have a tree that fell on a home that now the roof, the framing, the bathroom, this whole part of her house needed to get reconstructed. Right. Then we had a situation where we moved from probably 4 different people that were in charge of this project, and the baton was being passed from one person to this person to this person. Now, mind you guys, this is where crazy Jason comes in. I was getting pissed off, let's just call it what it is. With that being said, now we went ahead to have the insurance get contacted. Insurance was only going to give her pennies to fix a portion of the home and not do it the right way or the proper way. So we had to get someone else. We had to get a contractor to come in and that worked with the insurance company to get more money. That whole process took months. Yeah. So at this point, like I said, I was getting pissed off and I'm losing my patience. And mind you, this isn't my home. Okay? Now, let me go ahead and say 95% of realtors will do the basics of just putting a sign in the yard, putting it on the market, call it MLS, and then the last 3 is some pray, some don't. So the 3 P's are 2.5 P's. That's all they do. Well, what I've learned in my business with my mother, she taught me how to be a therapist, a mover, a psychologist. No, I've done everything. I've done everything I can for families because I just don't treat them as a transaction. So when she has been patient for 6-8 months, things are not moving. The bare minimum is moving with these contractors. And I've asked her if I can step in and be Jason, not the spiritual Jason, just Jason. And you guys know what I mean. And she goes, no, Jay, no, it's okay. It's being handled. Or how do you console me? Remember, this is not my house. I'm getting pissed. We're going almost a year. Nothing's been done. And she has this patience that I don't understand. So explain to me how you console me or
Okay, well,
or put your faith in God.
when you live and know that God does answer prayer, that He has a plan for your life, Jeremiah 29:11, He has a plan for your life, and therefore He's in control. I'm not, He is. And He allows or He disallows. So I knew that it was going to be in His timing. I always knew He would send the buyer in His time. So that consoled me, and therefore I was able to console you. I don't care how many people walk through the house. I don't care how many people say it needs this, it needs that. They're not the right ones. They're not the ones He's sending. And when time is right, which you all will hear a little bit later on about the right time, when the time is right, He's going to do what He is going to do. But I didn't realize I was the problem, and I'll tell you about that later. I'll tell you about that again. I was the problem. He was waiting on me, and I'll tell you how that changed. But it was in His timing, so there's no reason to get upset. There was no reason to sue anybody.
She called me. She talked me off the ledge. I wanted her. Let's get a lawyer. Let's lawyer up. Then I bugged her daughters because I know her daughters, and I had one of the daughters, actually both the daughters, have a little more of my energy. And I was like, June, you need to be June. Come out. Like, because June's a beautiful woman and a loving wife, but she gets her ways. Donald, I'm sorry. That's a whole other story for another episode. So what I'm trying to say is I had her daughter jump in, and I wanted her, and she goes, okay, Jason, I'll handle it. But somehow, Mama Bear still told June to back off too. So now we're going on to a year.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a little stressed because the market's not doing what it's doing. So now, mind you, this is the beginning of 25, and we needed to get the house on the market, and we tried to put the house on the market with it not being completed to try to find an investor to go ahead and just buy it and fix it up. But we're still going to say, well, we'll deliver the product with insurance money whenever that happened. Thank God we didn't go that route because we would have been in major trouble because insurance even took long to get the money. Yeah. So here we are, fast forward a year into it, and we can't sell the house because the house can't get fixed and done properly. Now, mind you, her and her daughters have come to a conclusion, all three of them, as a family. Mom should live over here, which was out by Mount Dora, new construction community. There's only a few homes in this community. Right. She wanted a brand new home. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Right. 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Builder, move-in ready, great view, pretty subdivision, close to daughter. Now, we didn't know the lots were going to go that quick. Right. The price points were really reasonable. There's still an HOA, I think, in there, right?
Yeah, there's an HOA.
There's still an HOA, which part of me was like, okay, I get it. Maybe close to daughter, that makes sense. And the other part of me was like, does she really want to take care of a home? Like, she has a backyard, front yard. Mm-hmm. She has she has things to take care of as a woman. Husband's not here no more. I'm not saying that a man has to take care of all these things. She's very capable of doing it. But in my mind, it's, okay, but this is what she wants. I'm going to make things happen. Mm-hmm. I said, I'm going to make things happen. That's right. That's where I went wrong. Because I thought I can do it all. Mm-hmm. And I was stuck. I was on hold because from the proceeds of this home was going to go to the new home. Yeah. And I'm like getting pissed off more because it's impeding the opportunity to move forward. Remember, I'm in control. I'm the realtor. I can do it all. Right. I can't sell a home that's not ready to be sold. Hear that? It's not ready to be sold. Right? Because I thought, I think I'm God, right? I can sell anything. Yeah. Well, God's not allowing this to happen over here.
He's not.
So she can see the stress in my mind's eye, and then she called me up, almost going to a year and a half into the property. She goes, okay, Jason, now I'm a little bit frustrated about this process. Let's see, don't do nothing crazy, but I'll allow you to now talk on my behalf, try to get to the bottom of what's going on. Yeah. So, again, weird things happen. I decided when she called me up that week, that Friday was Juneteenth, which you would assume that everything's closed. Well, federally it is, locally it's not. So I showed up at 7:45 in the morning at the county to talk to all the county inspectors and get to the bottom. The contractor says the inspectors are not doing crap. The inspectors supposedly are saying the contractor's not doing stuff. So what I went directly to, I talked to the chief inspector, I talked to the official, I talked to 3 different guys there. I was an hour and a half later, guess what happened? It was the contractors dragging their feet. Contractor said that the Friday office was closed, that's why they weren't moving it. From that day forward, the ball started rolling. Now, I didn't get crazy. I didn't have to go get an attorney. I didn't go say any bad profanity, F-bombs. Jason didn't have to go. The horns didn't come out.
Right.
She walked me through it, and she goes, "Thank you, Jay. Things are moving." So during this time, the new construction builder was saying, "Jason, lots are going. I only have one lot left." And I get a random call. And I'll let her continue the story. So what happens when you call me this one random call?
Okay. This was, I guess now it's about 3 weeks ago. So, I'm all set, the Lord never told me no to the house.
Okay.
He never said that. I just knew, well, you buy a house. I mean, I've always owned a house, so this is what you do. You buy a house. So he did not stop me. The Lord did not stop me. So about 3 weeks ago from today, I woke up lying in the bed, and the Lord, I know it was him in a still small voice. He said, "Are you sure you want to buy a house?" He said, "Are you sure you want to pay $5,000 in real estate taxes? Are you sure you want to pay homeowners insurance, so $4,500? Are you sure you want to pay homeowners fees? Are you sure you want to do all that?" And I thought, no, I don't want to do that. What am I doing? This is the Lord talking to me, just like he spoke to Elijah, still small voice. I said, no, I don't want to do that. And right then, I got up out of the bed. I called June. I said, "June, I decided not to buy a house." and I called Susie. She was on a cruise. I said, "Susie, I'm not buying a house."
That's the builder.
I'm not buying a house. I said, "Refund my deposit." I now know I'm not supposed to buy a house. And when I did that, and the Lord allowed me to make that decision from his voice, I said this to him. I said, "Okay, Lord, you can now send the buyer." That's what I said. You can now send. I knew he would always send it, but he couldn't send it because I wasn't where he wanted me to be. So I said, "Okay, Lord, I'm where you need me to be now. You never wanted me to buy a house. You can send the buyer now." Within 3 days, you told me I had a contract.
So it gives me chills when she says that, because this stuff happens. And so the reason and purpose I'm trying to let everybody know is because I wanted to be in control.
Right.
And I realized that I don't have the control that I thought I had. There's something a lot stronger and greater and more powerful than me.
Right.
And so what was unique about this, you guys, this whole process, you can say that the tree was something, and we can say, oh, and I looked at her when she told me the story about her husband's spleen, and I was like, I'll take it. Because I'm at a faith, but not at the level, like I love to, when I grow up, I want to be her. But she's at like Michael Jordan faith level, okay? I'm a rookie still trying to get in. So what was interesting was when she called me and said, "Hey, Jason, I decided not to buy."
Correct.
There was other components I would assume or think that also made her want to, when she was talking to the Lord in your bed, was, she lives over here on this side of town and she wants to be, she was moving to a whole brand new town,
Right.
which is kind of like, okay, I'm doing it, but what am I just doing?
Right.
So she had this major conversation and she told me all of this and I was like, okay. Whew. So the pressure off of me came, right? But we still had a problem that the house still needs some,
Exactly.
the house just got done, finally, but it still wasn't to par.
Right.
But the phone started ringing a minute she called me after that. And then when we had the buyer that came to see it,
Yeah.
here's the crazy thing. We knew that there was going to be things that came up in inspection. Maybe things that they were going to ask for credits and repairs, and the price was going to keep coming down. We got a cash offer, closed in 2 weeks. No contingencies.
Amazing.
And the buyer is going to build this mega house, $3 million house on our property. There's so many other things to this story that just, I don't have an answer. And her answer is
Faith.
faith. So I wanted to do this with Miss Carolyn, Miss Holloman, is because this is an example to all the realtors out there and to people that are selling their home. You gotta have faith. And you gotta have, not faith like George Michael, the song, the faith, baby. I'm see, that's another story. Another episode. You know, how was your experience dealing with crazy Jason or dealing with me? Was I a pain in the butt a little bit?
No, you were concerned about me.
I was.
Let me back up a minute here. And there's a scripture that you told me to send you. The scripture is Ephesians 3:20. And it says, now unto him who's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that you can ask or think. To him be all the glory. And now I always knew he would send the buyer, but I never thought he'd send a cash buyer. See, this is above everything I thought. I knew he would send it, but I didn't know he would send a cash buyer to get me out of the house in 2 weeks. That's above everything I thought. So it's totally him. He used you.
Yeah.
Yes, you were in place. He used you. He used you, but it was still up to him until I got to where he wanted me to be. Mm-hmm. Okay? No, what am I doing? I don't need to buy a house. If my house had sold earlier, I would have bought a house. That wasn't his will for me. So all of that was a delay that culminated into his being glorified.
It made you have, I think it also probably made you, the mourning process of a human being, okay? Her husband passed and she was already moving into like, I need to move out of this house. Mm-hmm. So I also believe that maybe he also wants you to have time.
Could be there to relish the 40 years.
Just what just happened,
this is the 40th
right?
year, yeah.
And I was thinking about that too. So, like I said, I don't get to run into stories like this because this story is it's not made up. and I had to do something like this because I felt compelled, not just because I want to tell you the journey that I went on with Miss Holloman, but also with her family of faith. They've been blessed in ways that I can't really make up. And I wanted to do this one because this was special to me. This was the longest home I've ever also took on as a project to sell. And then I realized that it taught me a lot of things. It taught me patience. It taught me that I don't have control and I gotta believe and I gotta go ahead and trust. And then at the end of the day, this was a beautiful thing because she's living in this really luxury condo, apartment living. I'm in this room right now that I'm like, this is all the amenities that come with it. The pool looks sexy. Yeah. I didn't bring swim trunks. I don't know if they allowed me to go in my boxer briefs. That's another story for another day. But anyways, thank you for doing this with me.
Well, I need to say something too about Jason. The reason I went with Jason is because I've known Jason through my children. But anytime I called him, he would answer. If he didn't answer right then, a text, I'll call you back. So it's been a very pleasant experience with him. He respected my faith. When I said, no, it's okay. God will do what God is going to do. And he had respected that. Instead of browbeating me and saying, oh, you still need to do, no, my faith says he's in control. And you allowed me, you received that he was in control. And so what I like about this is because you saw God work. You saw him, it wasn't just my saying it, but God came through and proved himself in your eyes. And this is great, this is very nice. I gave this testimony in church on the first Sunday. Yeah, I did. I gave this testimony in church. That God does. You have to believe, you have to know his voice. Had I not been familiar with his voice, I would have missed him that morning. But I know his voice. When he speaks, I know his voice because I've been walking with him many years. So when he just spoke softly to me, said, no, I don't want to do it. So I made that decision right then and there. There was no ifs, ands, and buts. I made that decision, got up, and made calls and canceled the contract because I knew his voice. And so you allowed me to live out my faith. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think she also misses she's a very strong woman. And I respect a very strong woman because I was raised by a lot of strong women. And with that being said, thank you. Thank you for doing it with me. I appreciate it. Thank you.